Welcome back to By the Bookshelf. I'm glad you're able to join me again tonight as we continue to look at what's happening in the church, things that are going on as we're looking to being together, how we're being church during this coronavirus period. So tonight I want to talk to you about a new initiative we're starting beginning next Monday, July 13th, called Here in This Place. The title is taken from the hymn that's often called Gather Us In or Here in This Place. We recognize that church, the building, and the campus is very important to people. I think we all can agree church is more than a building or a campus. It's the group of people, it's the mission, it's the theology, it's how we are joined together to go out and do things in the world. But space is important. We are tied to spaces and places. They have memories for us. There's something about sometimes being at a certain space that fills you with the peace. And I know many of you have expressed you've missed being able to be at church. Many of you have asked, can I just come sit in the parking lot and live stream the service? Sure, if that's what you want to do. Starting now, if you do want to come to the chapel for prayer, the chapel is open for prayer. We just ask you call us, let us know you're coming. We need to keep a record of who's coming into the building, and then you stay in the pew sections and not go up into the chancel or especially where the piano is, because Dan musicians are still using that area a lot. So if you'd like to come to the chapel to have a time of just prayer in that sacred space, just call the church office, let us know. That way we know when to expect you. Can make sure someone's there that can let you in because the doors are still locked. We wanted to get a way for you to be able to come to the church campus and kind of receive that spiritual, faithful gift from the church there at the building. I know we've been live streaming for a while. Many of you have really enjoyed that. You've enjoyed having a more comfortable seat than the pew. All that's great. But you miss coming to church. So starting next Monday for 3 weeks, as we're kind of leading up to our hopeful kickoff of outdoor worship on July 28th, that is our hopeful time to have kind of outdoor worship where people can sign up to come. We're doing a test service to kind of iron out the wrinkles here coming up pretty soon. If all goes well, if we don't see a major spike in cases, we do hope that first outdoor service for the church will be July 28th. But things are flexible and are subject to change based on the changing landscape of the virus and other things. But on the Mondays leading up to that, starting the 13th, we're going to have something called Here in This Place that invites you to the church from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. You can come and participate in just kind of like a simple activity that will give you a chance to reflect, pause, pray, celebrate. There'll always be something you can take home as well. So from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., a white canopy tent will be set up somewhere on the front lawn or in that courtyard area. And there will be tables there and some instructions on what you can do that day. We'll also have set times where musicians might be out there as well, providing some sacred music. Those specific times and people will be listed in the e-news each week. It might be something like some brass players play from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m., kind of taking breaks in between. Maybe there'll be 3 of them sitting in a corner just playing some brass hymns. Maybe we'll have the clavinova piano out and someone will kind of play hymns and maybe somebody will sing along for a little bit. Maybe there'll be somebody with a guitar singing. There's different options, different musicians that can come, but you can even bring your own chair and just sit out and listen to the music or participate in those activities. The building will still be closed, so we encourage you to bring your own water. Make sure you go to the bathroom first before coming out. But we want to have something that can kind of connect you faithfully to the church and to God at the church. So coming up on the 13th, we're going to have a couple activities. One, we're going to have a prayer walk, and that will be available each of these 3 weeks. It starts at that tent, and it'll kind of take you around the church campus, teaching you about some interesting things about the church, but also leading you in reflection and prayer for different aspects of the church's past, present, and future. Different groups and people in the church, prayers of thanksgiving and guidance. And so that will kind of take you a walk around the church and kind of end where you will take something home to remember the prayer walk. Also this week, we're going to have a chance to kind of make some kind of like paper airplanes, not just to throw and play around with, but as a chance to kind of reflect on some things. And fold this paper airplane, leave in this net that'll kind of capture some of the hopes and fears we have during this time. You can also take a video of yourself flying the paper airplane. So that'll be great for kids, adults alike. So we have things like the prayer walk that will require some mobility, some things you can do right there at the canopy. There'll be some music. You can also just come and spend some time on the ground. Sit in the shade of the oaks and just reflect, pray. We want you to be able to come and have those things. So each week there'll be some kind of activity that will kind of get you thinking faithfully. And there'll always be something tangible you'll take home as well. That's always going to be open on Mondays from 10 a.m. To 7 p.m. So we hope you will try out and come one of those days just to check it out. Be here at the church campus. Walk around, pray, participate in these different activities. Our task force is continuing to work on plans to have outdoor worship, looking at when we might want to be in the building, what that will look like. There's a lot of things to consider. Again, if we were indoor worship, it'll probably look a lot more like the outdoor worship will look like. Simple sung refrains, not as much bulletins, not as much singing. It's going to be no kind of gathered children's message, a shorter service, probably like 30 minutes, a short reflection, things like that. We do hope that first outdoor service will be July 28th. More information will be put in the e-news about that. You'll be able to sign up. We're going to have 4 of those services, hopefully. And you can sign up for one of them to begin with. And then if spots are still available the day of, you can sign up for multiple. But we want to make sure everyone who wants to come to one of those services can, while still allowing for enough distance. We're going to kind of figure out what our max number of participants are after our test service to kind of figure out how far the sound reaches well, what that spacing looks like. And so that's part of the reasons for the test service that we will have coming up. We'll have some rules with that service. You can find all those rules for any kind of in-person gatherings at the church on our church website. Masks will be required. There'll be hand sanitizer. We'll have people spaced out. And we're trying to follow all the Pennsylvania guidelines. So one of the new guidelines is that the state's asking anyone who has traveled into any of these kind of high COVID spike areas, especially by plane, to kind of self-quarantine for 2 weeks when you come back. And so we're trying to follow those guidelines. So if you have been out of the state to one of those high COVID areas like North Carolina, South Carolina, Texas, Florida, we ask you to stay away for 2 weeks. Don't volunteer to sing on a Sunday morning. Don't come to a youth group event. Don't sign up for an outdoor worship event. Because, one, we want to continue to lead and follow the state's guidelines, but also others may be more concerned and they might not know that you have been to one of those places. They might not want to then sing beside you because you've been on an airplane, because they have somebody who's immunocompromised at home. And so we're asking you to also make sure, if you are traveling to one of those areas, that you stay away from these church activities for 2 weeks and then be able to come after that. We're trying, again, just to make sure we stay safe, but also continue to provide things for our church family. So I'm hopeful outdoor worship can happen. It looks like we're going to hit a nice heat wave just in time for all of this, so yay. Our task force continues to look at other issues like in-person worship. Maybe we might do an indoor worship service in the sanctuary on Saturday night that is more geared for that in-person worship, shorter service, not as much singing, more short refrains, and then have a live stream on Sunday morning that can be more robust with videos of musicians and old videos of the organ and the choir and the brass, because there's no way to have those kind of things at an in-person worship right now. In a lot of ways, because we have the live streaming capabilities that we do, we're able to offer a more robust Sunday service through that. We're kind of in this interesting middle ground in a lot of ways. A lot of churches don't have our live stream capabilities, so being back together is a big step forward. Other churches also have screens in their sanctuary where people in the building can see everything they're showing on the live stream, and so you can have both. We're right in the middle. We have great live stream, But if you're in the building, you're not going to be able to take advantage of all of those. So that's kind of part of the tricky situation right now. I think when the new organ comes, that could be a different factor in having a more robust in-person worship, because that organ is going to add so much to it. Right now, it's going to be mostly piano. Can't have a lot of singers. The congregation can't do a lot of singing, especially indoors. So we're looking at, okay, at what point does it tip the balance to have people in the building on Sunday, and we take away things like the video children's messages where kids can participate. We take away the videos of musicians like Ryan Yinkst, or take away those old hymn videos that have the brass and the choir and the organ, and just have the more simple 30-minute indoor service. So one of our thinking right now is maybe we have both. Maybe we have a Saturday evening 5 o'clock inside the sanctuary short service, and then a Sunday morning 10:30 live stream for a while and see how that goes. That's just one option. As we continue to look at different options, we want to see how the outdoor service works with that kind of liturgy, the shorter service, not having bulletins, singing some simple refrains, and all of that. Now, the organ is going to be delayed, of course. We were hoping to get it late summer, early fall, but because the company who makes the console and the new stops has been out of work for several months, they're backed up. The order for our console has been put in. I just don't know when that will be ready yet. I have asked the question, and hopefully when they know, they will give us a heads up. But good news on the organ front. Our new director of music ministries, Grant, has already talked with the company who's been working with our organ, and they've collaborated with him along with Tom Murray, who's a world-renowned organ professor and concert organist, on our new console to get it set up the right way. So it's going to be really nice that we have this organ console that had collaboration with some of the top organ people in the world. And Grant's already been in conversation with them. This Wednesday, we're actually starting work on our organ chambers. We're going to be taking out some of the drywall from the chambers to allow a more open space for sound to leave the organ chamber and go out into the sanctuary. We're also going to be covering up a gap in the ceiling where sound can kind of get trapped up there and not go out to the sanctuary. That's going to be closed off. And we're going to repaint that room so it's not just drywall. We're going to do several coats of a high gloss paint. What that does is it actually allows the sound to not be absorbed by the drywall, but to bounce and then go out to the sanctuary. So the organ sound is going to be able to travel more into the sanctuary than it has in the past, which is also going to help things as well. So those projects are moving forward. We just got all the trim around the roof painted. I just finished that up today, actually. And so if you drive by the church, you should see that brown trim looking in much better shape. Room 6 is coming along. So we've been really active in all these different projects at the church. So we do hope you'll come next Monday the 13th from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Drop by. Take a look at the building, the new trim. Check out the Lost and Found board that Luke Gowan did. Do our prayer walk. Make the paper airplane. Come during the time there'll be some music. Sit and reflect. If you want to come into the chapel, just let us know. You can go in there and pray as well. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to reach out to me. We hope these Mondays will kind of help tie us over until we do begin those outdoor worship services. We can get back to the church and just receive that spiritual and faithful gift from the church by being here and taking something home with you. I look forward to being able to worship with you in person again sometime, maybe in the near future, and I hope you continue to participate through Zoom and on live stream and Facebook and all these other media. And I hope I'll see you on one of these Mondays, even if it's just passing by, that you'll be able to be here in this place at Derry Presbyterian Church.